What's poppin', homies? It's your favorite homegirl, Gossip Girl, and today I have some news about what's going on in the MTA. Stand clear of the closing doors. Well, instead of that, stand clear of the closing prison doors. Ding, ding. Anyway, so 4 Long Island Railroad workers and a New York City Transit employee were busted Thursday for an off-the-rails overtime scam that netted more than $1 million while they enjoyed nights out, bowling, attending concerts, and enjoying vacations, the prosecutors had said. When people learn that you cannot do fraudulent stuff, you may get away with something fraudulent once, but then when you get greedy, you end up getting caught. So let's see how knee deep these people are. Okay. Long Island Railroad workers Thomas Caputo, Joseph Ruzzo, John Nugent, and Joseph Balestra, and New York City Transit worker Michael Gunderson all face up to 10 years in prison for federal program fraud. Gunderson's alleged overtime scam appeared to be the most brazen. He earned $385,000 in total pay in 2018. Only $102,000 of that amount was his base salary. To have legitimately earned that money, Gunderson would have had to work 10 hours extra every single day of the year on top of his normal 40-hour week, his work week. The 42-year-old maintenance supervisor overseeing third rail contracts and circuit breakers claimed to be on the job while actually on vacation or attending dinner concerts or other events with friends and families. And this is all written by the prosecutors. First of all, I want to say this. How do you get overtime fraud? That's what I want to know. So isn't somebody in HR responsible for this as well? Because if you are a worker, you're an employee, and don't you have to punch in and out? Don't you have to punch in and out or clock in? Record your hours. How is it how could he record his hours of being at work while he was vacationing? So something is not together here. Searches of cell site locations, social media reservations info, and other records revealed Gunderson attended concerts in Atlantic City. He vacationed to the historic Williamsburg, Virginia. He visited a farm in Manalapan, New Jersey, and even participated in a 5K charity race, all the while allegedly raking in money on taxpayers' dime. These defendants, senior LIRR, that's Long Island Railroad, and New York City Transit employee, allegedly made themselves some of the highest paid employees at the entire MTA by claiming extraordinary, almost physically impossible amounts of overtime, said acting Manhattan U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss. As alleged, those almost impossible claims were fueled by brazen, repeated fraud, including falsely claiming to be working overtime hours while the defendants were at their homes or, in some instance, bowling. All New Yorkers ultimately bear the burden of fraud targeting our mass transit system, and we will continue to work tirelessly to expose and prosecute those who engage in it, Strauss said. The quartet of accused Long Island Railroad hustlers volunteered for overtime shifts beginning in 2017 and falsely claimed they showed up for work, according to the Manhattan Federal Court complaint. In one example, Caputo, who's 46 years old, filed papers claiming he put in 15 hours of overtime starting on October 11th, 2018. So this is going back to 2018 and 2017. So this is how long they have been being watched, okay? So they watched them to build the case, and they caught him. Caputo was supposedly at the West Side Yard on West 34th Street in Manhattan. In reality, Caputo was 55 miles away in Patchogue, Long Island, averaging a solid score of 196 in 3 games in his bowling league. Prosecutors wrote that night out allegedly earned him $1,217. Jesus. The now retired Caputo will also have had to work superhuman hours as a chief measurement officer, overseeing track inspections to earn his overtime. If Caputo had worked every single calendar day in 2018, including weekends and holidays, although he did not, that would have averaged out to approximately 10 hours of overtime every day for the entire year, in addition to his regular 40 hours a week. Okay, and that's what the complaint said. His MTA income that year was an astonishing $461,000. Okay, $344,000 of it, which was overtime. Caputo was the agency's top earner that year. Jesus Christ! But those overtimes were false, was fraudulent. The federal investigation in overtime fraud is ongoing, and some of the workers retired before the bus, prosecutors said. I guess they had a little tingly feeling that they was gonna, get outed, or they was about to get caught. Stand clear of the closing doors. Ding, ding. Anyway, this type of double dealing directly contributes to rising MTA fares for the average hardworking commuter, FBI Assistant Director William Sweeney Jr. had said. The thing about the MTA, it's bad enough that they may go on a fare hike. And that's another story that I want to talk to you guys about, because, it's just really crazy. New York City, the fares go up, but the service get worse. And then they're talking about how they might slow down the weekends. But you're doing it now. You can't really catch a good train like you used to years ago to go anywhere on the weekends. On the weekends, riding the MTA, you might as well just stay home or ride the bus. If you could get the bus to where you got to go, take the bus. Because riding the train, you got the B, the C, the D. Sometimes those are not working. You got to go over to the R, and the R is not working, and you got to transfer over here. It's like they cut the trains off at a certain time, and then it takes you 3 or 4 hours to get home. The service is all jacked up on the weekends. But yet, they raise the prices for the fares, and then word on the street, they get ready to stop monthly cards. Oh, no, we can't have that. People need their monthly cards to get to work and from work, or wherever they got to go. I'm telling you, New York City, man, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, let's get back to this. The MTA's Inspector General began investigating the case in April of 2019 after alarming reports on the agency's highest earners show employees pay outrageous amount through work weeks that defied belief. The agency spent $1.3 billion in overtime in 2018. Okay, a $116 million increase from the year before. Jesus. Okay, these employees allegedly worked very hard to steal MTA time and money, ignoring their duty to keep the tracks and rails safe, which you should have been doing, for their fellow workers and riders. For the MTA employees who earn hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, it takes some nerve to steal overtime by only working a fraction of your shift, if at all. And the MTA Inspector General Carol Pocami said this. The situation underscores what our office has been saying again and again. The lack of management systems and controls at the MTA creates an environment where fraud could easily occur undetected. And it did, as alleged in these criminal complaints, said Carol. But my thing is, the overtime can't be approved if HR has to approve it. So I feel like it's not only the MTA worker that's at fault, it's also someone in HR for letting this go through. right? I mean, is that how it works? If somebody that listening to this, story, if you work for the MTA, please tell me, how does that work? Because how can anyone have overtime fraud if they have to punch a clock in and out of work? You get what I'm saying? And how did this slip through HR fingers? Like, something is not right. Something is not adding up. But like I said, anyone that works for the MTA is listening, please let me know in the comment section, okay? The bus also underscored the need to the MTA to be more transparent about employee salaries, said Tim Hofner, president of the Watchdog Empire Center, which was first highlighted the outrageous earnings. The MTA is notorious for absurdly slow responses to Freedom of Information law requests for public information, including salaries. This is just the latest example of why it's so important taxpayers have access to this data, he said. And I think that we need to, as taxpayers, we need to know where our dollars are going. You mean to tell me these people could do fraudulent stuff like this, get paid all this money, and the system, the MTA system, the service is crap. It gets worse and worse every year. Every day of the year, it gets worse and worse. So how does this fraudulent stuff slip through the cracks? I don't understand. Oh, Jesus. It's just really crazy. And it says here, an audit last year found 4 Long Island Railroad foremen raked in a combined $650,000 in overtime in 2018 by lying about the hours on timesheets. Okay, so that probably just answered my question that I asked before. So basically, it's on the timesheet that they lied about the hours. But another analysis by a contractor hired by the MTA found that wage fraud was not widespread or systematic, and that the bulk of the overtime increases in 2018 were the result of extra work through Governor Cuomo's Subway Action Plan, which launched in 2017 to quickly fix subway infrastructure as chronic delays created hellish commutes. Wow. I tell you, boy, I tell you. This is really crazy. Let me tell you something. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Even though this happened before, like the pandemic and everything, greed is something terrible. Greed is something terrible. And for these 4 people to do this, you get what I'm saying? For these men to do this, it's horrible. Because now, when there's overtime to be had, they're going to have to get a new system to log in to do this overtime. They're going to have to get a new system. They're going to have to. Because if they don't, stuff like this is going to happen again. Oh, I tell you, boy, the MTA is something else. Something else. I mean, they got away with mad money over overtime fraud. Isn't that something? Well, let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think about this story? What do you think? Because this is in the Daily News. So what do you guys think about this? I think it's sad. And I think they just need to go to jail for doing this. I really do. Probation, jail, whatever. Do something with them. They need to feel the repercussions of their action, because this is crazy. It's not fair to the people who want to work and who are truthful about overtime. Because now in the agency, they're going to crack down hard. All because of these 5 people. I tell you, boy, it's just, they probably, you know how I can see this starting out? It started out probably, oh, let me just do a little bit, okay? They got away with that. And then greed kicked in. Because now they can get away with a lot more. Well, if I got away with this much, let me see if I can get away with this much of overtime. And it just kept going and going and going until now they knee deep in it. You get what I'm saying? So they need to have some type of punishment. They cannot walk away from this without no punishment. They need to be punished for their actions. They need to. But anyway, guys, that's all I have for you. So let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this? And I will talk to you guys later.